Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I am Ben. I'm joined here by Chad and Ryan, and we are back after our Big Brother hiatus. We're away for 4 months from the end of Big Brother 23, but we are now here to talk about Celebrity Big Brother US Season 3. It's been a few years now since the last season of Celebrity Big Brother. It was canceled. And it was re-brought back now this year, and we got a batch of 11 celebrities that we're going to be talking about and watching play Big Brother for 3 or so weeks. So yeah, what are you guys excited for Celebrity Big Brother to be back?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first 2 iterations of this, and I was pretty sad that they canceled it because I thought it was a really great winter show to hold you over from the regular seasons in between seasons of Survivor, and I was a little surprised they didn't bring it back last year after they were successful at running Big Brother 22, and with no Survivor on, it seemed like it would make sense. But this originated as competition against the Olympics, and I guess they figured why not bring it back. So anytime we can have more Big Brother, I'm really ecstatic.
Yep. What are your thoughts, Chad?
Yeah, agreed. Anytime we get Big Brother, I'm happy. I only saw Celebrity Big Brother 2 with you guys, so I didn't see the first one. And I enjoyed the second one. I actually knew some of the celebrities. This one, I literally only know Chip Skylark, who isn't even one of them, but played by one of them. So it's going to feel like a honestly new
Lamar
players.
Odom, I'm sure you're, past.
Yeah,
I've
I've heard the names, but I'm sure a lot of other people, these are kind of people that haven't been in the spotlight for a while, so maybe some people don't even know who they are. But I guess if you're well versed in pop culture, you probably know the majority of them, if not all.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say, the weakest in terms of name recognition of the 3 casts they've had. But Chris Katan, he's a working actor, comedian. Lamar Odom, he was a basketball player, probably more famous now for his troubled life post basketball and also dating one of the Kardashians. But still excited.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, absolutely. I think that's going to be kind of my feeling on the cast as well. I saw a lot of people who were disappointed with the cast because it wasn't as there wasn't really any one big name that was flashy. Whereas the previous 2 seasons, there were at least a couple on each that were oh, this is actually a kind of a get.
Yep.
So I understand from that perspective that people might be disappointed, but I actually think this could potentially be one of the stronger casts in terms of actual gameplay from what I've seen from the interviews, with a few notable exceptions. So I'm cautiously optimistic with the cast. And then, like you guys mentioned, the previous 2 iterations have been great. And Chad, I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen CBBUS 1 and you have some free time at some point to go back and watch it, because I would say it was better than season 2 in a lot of ways. Even though season 2 was more season 2 was higher drama, but the cast was, I would say, on average, less likable, which is kind of the trade-off. But yeah, I'm very excited, and yeah, I'm excited for more Big Brother. I don't really, I'm not going to be complaining that we're going to get an extra season of Big Brother, regardless. So, all right, I guess we'll jump into this, right?
Let's do it.
So let's start with, we're just going to go in alphabetical order here. Every single list that I've seen has just been alphabetical order. So we'll start off here with Carson Cresley, most famous for being one of the main people from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. He has done a number of reality TV celebrity editions, including most recently he was on the Arnold Schwarzenegger hosted reboot of The Apprentice that ran for 1 season, where I actually saw that season. I watched that live, and he actually was one of the bigger characters that season, so definitely something to note. And then also important to note is that he has been a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race alongside a friend of his who was also a judge on that show, Ross Matthews, the runner-up, spoiler alert, Chad, sorry, of Celebrity Big Brother US Season 1. And he mentions in most of his interview questions that he has talked to Ross to get advice coming in. So yeah, what are your thoughts, initial thoughts here on Carson Cresley, Brian?
I like him from Queer Eye, obviously. I don't know, like I didn't watch The Apprentice. I don't watch too much RuPaul, but I think, if he's coming in with at least like a baseline knowledge of the game that he's got from, Ross, who I did think was a good player on his season. I believe he was my winner pick when we did it back then. I think that will put him perhaps a step ahead of some people, at least based on past iterations of the celebrity format. But I think, he's somebody, all these celebrities are very comfortable with television, reality TV. But as you said, he's extremely experienced, even lately with like celebrity editions of this. So I think he's going to bring a lot to the table just as a personality and also potentially as a game player. So excited to see that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Carson?
Yeah, I agree with Brian again. I enjoy Queer Eye too. Reading this guy's, I'm reading off of the U.S. Magazine one. At the end of it, he says like, "Oh, you can either bring someone along that's like your best friend, or you can bring someone that you're gonna slay at the end." And he's like, "I'm gonna take the person that I can slay." So right there, that's like kind of all I need to know about the guy.
Ross,
Yeah,
already learned lessons.
Right. It's like, I want to bring my best buddies, and it's like sometimes you can't really do that.
No.
So, with his baseline knowledge alone, I think he'll do pretty well and probably better than some of the other celebrities who are probably just doing this for publicity. But but no, I'm excited for this guy. I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, this is one thing I like about this show is that I think it's so dumb when it's like we're having a celebrity edition. They're all playing for charity. It's like, you would not be on the show if they didn't need a paycheck. Just let them keep the money. It's fine. We don't need them to play for some charity here.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure they play for themselves, right?
In this, yeah, but a lot
okay. Oh, you mean
like other shows,
yeah.
Celebrity Jeopardy or something. They'll be like, they're playing for this charity. It's like, just let them play for the money. Like,
yeah.
No, yeah,
don't need it after.
Yeah, if they want to, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I think that we've kind of seen that. That I think coming into the first season of Celebrity Big Brother US, we were cautious that people might not play very hard because they're celebrities. They might not need the money. They might care too much about their image to create drama or do kind of backstabby strategies type stuff. But that was completely wrong. Most of the people on both seasons of Celebrity Big Brother so far have been relatively strong gamers compared to at least my expectations. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it is good too that they just keep the regular U.S. format. Like they don't try to do some silly thing where it's not quite the same, and it actually makes them play the game.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with your guys' evaluations of Carson. I think that he is probably going to be one of the stronger players this season. I could definitely see him doing very well, particularly coming in with knowledge from Ross. And he seems to be one of the more knowledgeable people about how the game works. So, yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see what he does. And I think that, even if he isn't a top-tier player, I think he'll probably bring good TV regardless. So, either way, I think that, definitely thumbs up for Carson from me.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, we have on the list Chris Katan, who is a comedian who was famously on SNL in the 90s mostly, and then he had some TV shows, some solo ventures. I recognized him first from his small appearance from How I Met Your Mother. Apparently, he is also one of the main cast members from The Middle, which I don't watch or haven't seen, so I can't really speak to that.
Supporting cast, but yeah.
Supporting cast, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one of the people on the list I'm loosely familiar with who they are, kind of, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, Chad, what are your thoughts here on Chris Katan?
Yeah, same. He's one of the few names I actually did recognize. Based off his interview, I'm not too hopeful for him because basically he's all he's saying is like, yeah, I'm going to be allies with whoever's kind and generous to me, and that I'm willing to take the closest ally to the end because you get along with your allies. So it's just like I don't know how good his social game is going to be. I'm sure people will like him just because he's a nice guy, but that only gets you so far. And Big Brother, come if he somehow makes Final Six, I think he's either going out at like 6 or 5 if he even makes it that far. And then he also says his biggest weakness is going to be the physical comps. So it's like if you don't have the social game, you don't have the physical game, then you got no game. So I mean, hopefully his kindness will carry him, but I don't see him winning. And I mean, I hope I'm wrong for his sake, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll say it. I hard agree on all of that. There are, I would say this cast is stronger than I expected coming in, but there are about 3 people on the cast that I think have basically no shot, and I think Chris Kattan is one of those 3. Unfortunately, his bio or his interview questions or whatever was very bad. I don't think he knows what he's doing or getting into. I think he's 1,000,000% going to get chewed up and spit out here. He does not, to my knowledge, understand even how Big Brother fundamentally works or what the show is to any degree. And from his other answers, it doesn't seem like he's going to pick it up particularly fast either. So I'm going to be a hard thumbs down on Chris Kattan's chances here of winning this season. But you never know. Crazier things have happened. What are your thoughts, Brian?
I think it's hard. We have this every celebrity season so far where just like, people go in, have no idea what's going on, and then exit shortly after that. I'm thinking of last season, the guy from Blossom. He didn't seem to have any idea what was happening, and he didn't stick around very long.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think can help him is, like, as a comedian, he's going to be most likely extremely funny, and that kind of lends itself to likability. And that could get him a little bit into it, and then perhaps he picks the game up a little bit. I felt in season 2, Tom Green was one of those people who didn't really know what to expect, but then kind of picked the game up and became an audience favorite because it is, different. Like, there are like regular funny people, and then there are like professionally funny people, and like Tom Green, it just like you just see why people pay him money to be funny and stuff and go to see him, and I expect the same out of Chris, but not terribly hopeful if he's really just like so oblivious to the game and not really seemingly preparing for the game very much.
Yeah, I will say I think that his ceiling is probably Tom Green, and Tom Green was great television, and he did pick up the game at a certain point, but he also never really was ever in it with a shot to win. Right. So if your ceiling is a guy who has like no shot to win, then you have super no shot to win.
Right.
So yeah. All right. Moving on, we have our second Chris K of the cast. And maybe if Chris Kattan does go out quick, it'll be a blessing in disguise because we won't have to worry about this annoyance for very long.
We're
there
gonna
being
have
2
to
Chris Ks.
call him Coco, like we had to call Nicole Coco for the first 2 weeks of BB22.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Well, he'll be. We'll call him Chip.
Okay. Yeah, that
Chip.
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. We have Chris Kirkpatrick, most famous for being one of the members of NSYNC, probably the 4th famous member of NSYNC out of 5. If I were to rank them. And also known, as we referenced a couple of times here, as the voice of Chip Skylark on Fairly Odd Parents, as he mentioned in his little intro package he does. And I'll go here. I was very happily surprised by a lot of Chris Kirkpatrick's answers in his interviews here. I came in with very low expectations of what he was going to bring. but he has a lot of really solid answers. It seems like he's actually a marginal fan of Big Brother. It seems like he, has at least seen a handful of seasons, or is at least like a casual fan of the show. He got a few things wrong in his answers or his description about the show, but he definitely seems to be probably like the fourth or so biggest fan on this cast, which I think implicitly is an advantage. And his answers to some of the questions about his project strategy were also very good and insightful. So yeah, I came in with no expectations for Chris Kirkpatrick, and I am coming out with thinking that he might be a dark horse here. I would compare him even to how he views the game to how I saw another musician who was on CBB, Mark McGrath, and I think that Mark McGrath's game in that season was extremely underrated by fans, and he went into that final stretch of the game with probably the most win equity. So I am pretty excited for what Chris Kirkpatrick can bring.
Yeah, he's a big Derek's fan, which is funny. I did like. I think everyone's favorite is Derek Levasseur. I don't know about that, but he's certainly a pretty popular winner. Maybe waning in popularity as the years go on, but yeah, I mean, anyone who comes into the game with baseline knowledge, as we said, probably will do well. In the sense that they'll know, like, oh, I need to make an alliance right away. I need to, form, like, maybe even second tier strategy where I have, like, fake, shell alliances. Hopefully not. That's actually one of the reasons why I like the Celebrity Big Brother, because they don't seem to know the meta of Big Brother as much as new players for the regular show. But, yeah, we'll see. He says he's a big fan, and he watched this season because he says he's a fan of Derek from this season, so we'll see what happens there. We could have the Slaughterhouse Part 2.
Oh boy. What are your thoughts, Chad?
Yeah, I mean, without just kind of saying the same things you guys said, like, I totally agree. I think he's going to, anytime you have knowledge of seasons in the past, he also said he likes Ian Terry a lot and Jackson Mitchie, which was kind of like, but okay.
I never thought I'd hear someone say that, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, okay, but I mean, in his like answers, they ask him like, what do you do in the final three? Do you take someone you could beat, someone you're allies with? And he says like, I don't know, but I'd probably take the person I'm loyal to. When he throughout the whole interview, he's kind of preaching loyalty with an ally, as opposed to like, how the other Chris said, it's more of like, oh, do I vibe with this person essentially? So I mean, I think if he sticks to that, that'd be pretty solid. I think in an alliance, loyalty is number one rather than if you just like the person. But yeah, I have high hopes for this guy. Depending on what the others come out with in their interviews, I don't know, I might pick him.
All right, cool. Moving on here to our fourth contestant. We have a Real Housewife of Atlanta, somebody who is notable friends with two of the contestants from the last Celebrity Big Brother in Candy Burris and Tamar Braxton, the ultimate winner. Cynthia Bailey here coming on to the show. Brian, what are your thoughts here on Cynthia?
Well, I hope that since she's friends with Tamar, that she brings, a little bit of what we got from Tamar, who I loved on the second season. I thought she was so great. Her confessional's hilarious. Her over-the-top reaction to everything that was happening around her and challenges and whatnot, very good. So hopefully we'll get a similar entertaining personality. She says she doesn't plan on throwing comps. That's good. Obviously she's what's her age here? 54. So the second oldest person on the cast. So we'll see, but she's probably in decent shape as a model. So I don't watch her show, surprisingly. I don't watch any of the Real Housewives iterations, so I'm not too familiar with her as a TV personality, but I know you have to be a big personality to be on those shows, so I expect a lot from her in diary rooms, if nothing else.
I will say to clarify, she probably is more like a Candy than a Tamar, from what I've heard from people who do watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I've also heard her described as the most boring housewife. So,
Not great.
um,
So I guess disregard what I just said.
yeah, and apparently she was she brought so little drama that she was kind of downgraded outside of the main. So she definitely seems like, from what I've heard, to be an outlier in that instance as far as drama and Real Housewives goes. But yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts here, though, on Cynthia?
I mean, going off of that, maybe that's a good thing if she stays out of the fights and can stay in the background and kind of weasel her way to the end. But I don't know much about her at all, to be honest. But I mean, her interview isn't bad. It leaves a little to be desired. She mentions not throwing comp, but then she says she has a bad knee. So I don't think she has the option to throw a comp. I think just her trying is going to be just enough to maybe even stay in the thing. But like I said, it's kind of hard to form an opinion on her because there's not much there, and she's kind of just like a quieter person overall. Compared, I mean, I'm sure she's a personality, but compared to like what she's been on before with the Housewives, I mean, I've never watched that show, but I've seen commercials, and it seems like it's more drama than Big Brother, which is saying something. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think she's going to be like a middle of the pack kind of player, but we could be surprised, or she could just go out early and we don't care.
Yeah. No, my feeling on her is I think she has some upside just from her, from the personality I've heard about her. However, if she does play like Candy did, the Candy's primary issue was less about her personality and more about that she took way too passive of a role in strategy, to the point where she just kind of got into a position where she had no outs. So I think that my biggest concern for Cynthia, more so than personality or social game, would be her killer instinct, her ability to kind of convert a social position into a win in an end game. Because I don't necessarily see her as somebody who's going to be making those kind of strategic decisions very outwardly. She seems kind of nicey nice, which can get you far, but it's usually not enough on its own to get you the win. So those are my thoughts. All right, moving on to our fifth contestant here, Lamar Odom, former NBA player and former husband of Khloe Kardashian. Yep, and not the only person connected to the Kardashians on this cast, of relevance here. Chad, do you have any immediate thoughts here on Lamar?
I mean, this is the one guy I think most people are gonna, the casual fans are gonna know, that might pull in some views. But I mean, I love this guy's interview because at the end he basically says yeah, I'm gonna take whoever I can beat and fuck friendship. So that's funny. But no, I think this guy's always gonna be a physical comp guy. So he just has to kind of prove it in the social game. I think him being such a physical guy, just inherently from his career and everything, he's going to have a target on his back. And again, he's probably the biggest name in the house, at least in my perspective, but I could be wrong. So yeah, I'm interested to see him and how he's going to do the social game more so than the physical game, because we know what to expect with that.
Yeah. I like Lamar Odom. He was an okay basketball player. He probably had more potential than he lived up to. But if you want to hear more about sports, check out our other channel, Wiki Kids Sports, where we talk about that. This is not the place for that. I mean, I'm happy. He seems to be doing well. Lamar Odom almost died a few years ago. I don't know. He OD'd on cocaine and was in a coma, and so it's great that he's here. I know he knocked out Aaron Carter pretty recently in a celebrity boxing match. That was something
very mismatched.
very mismatched. I hope Aaron Carter got paid a lot of money for that because Jesus Christ. I think Celebrity Big Brother is much better than celebrity boxing and probably being on a Kardashian show. So this is like a huge step up for him, and I'm interested to see what he brings to the table because I don't think he like the last basketball player we had, also a former Laker, was Meta World Peace, who did not know what was happening, did not want to be on the show, attempted to escape at one point. Didn't know how to vote, voted for someone he wanted to stay in the first eviction. I don't think he's going to be like Meta World Peace at all. I think he's going to be more focused on the game, and I'm excited to see what Lamar Odom has for us here.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he'll be better than Meta World Peace, but that's a very low bar.
William is entertaining, though.
That's true. I mean, you know, I feel like, you know, if you can hold your own on like Kardashian adjacent reality shows, I think that you're probably, you know, entertaining enough to be on reality TV, right?
True.
So yeah, I'm worried. Like, there's a couple of things about Lamar Odom that worries me. The first is that in one of his interviews, he talks heavily about how he hopes that the show will kind of raise his profile so he can get more endorsement deals. Which, one, not going to happen. Two, not really a good way to enter the game. Not a good mindset to have in terms of like trying to do well at the strategic elements of the game. And the second kind of red flag I've had is he talked a number of times about how he doesn't necessarily get along with a vast amount of people, and so I'm somewhat worried about his social game. And so if he doesn't really have a strong social game, he is not really coming into the game with like a very strong strategic head on his shoulders in terms of knowledge of the show. Yeah, he's probably going to be in a position where he might need to get carried by competition abilities and be like brought into an alliance that way. And that might happen, but it may not. He might end up just being targeted because he's socially outcast and he's a competition threat. That's my worry. So, yeah, I would say like very, 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 faint possibility that he could do well, but I'm not particularly holding my breath. But hopefully he'll be good TV.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our sixth contestant here, and our second, current/former professional athlete out of three. We have Misha Tate, current UFC MMA competitor, one of the top female bantamweight competitors in the MMA, and she, I think that she has potential to do better than you might expect. I know a lot of people came into this with the immediate comparison to Christmas, just because she's like a buff woman, which I think is unfair. I don't think that she will be at Christmas. I think that she, in her interviews, has shown enough knowledge about the show to at least kind of get her foot in the door. She mentions about how she's worried that she might get targeted early for being a professional athlete, that people might think that she's going to be too good in the competitions and get her out, so she'll have to step up her game in other ways to combat that. So I think that the fact that she is coming in with that mindset and prepared for that possibility means that she's at least thinking about the game in the right way. So yeah, I consider her to be kind of middle of the road right now as far as potential to win. I do also, though, share her worry that she might get targeted as somebody who is too good. But we also saw what was it, Natalia? Is that her name in CBB US 2? Who is in the Majority Alliance? Let me make sure I get that name right. I don't want to see it. Who is in the Majority Alliance in that season and did pretty well strategically up until a point where she was eliminated. Natalie, sorry, not Natalia. Natalie Eva-Marie, yeah, who was also a strong woman. who was like a professional fighter. So
Yes.
I think that that's it's not the worst to come in with that on your plate. Brian, what are your thoughts here on Misha Tate?
Obviously, she was a very good fighter in the UFC in the mid 2000s. I not super into UFC, but I am aware somewhat, and I knew her as a name. I believe she's retired now, but I think she'll be good at the physical aspect. She's still young. She's still probably very athletic. I think like endurance competitions, stuff like that, someone like her would probably excel at. In her interview in Us Weekly, she says that she has watched zero Big Brother, and she's just gonna be ready to adapt, which I don't know how well that will work. It could, but I doubt it. I think if there's some people who just know like a little bit, then they'll make alliance, and so her best case is being included in one, and hopefully picking up the game. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that, I don't think physically she's going to be fine, if not one of the top contenders here with the other athletes. But yeah, socially, not watching Big Brother, and then she even says in her interview, I'm a very forward person. I speak my mind. I'm not good at playing like sneaky, behind the back, stabby kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but at the end of that question, well, her answer for the question, she does say, "But this is Celebrity Big Brother, so here we are." So, I mean, it's going to be. I agree with Benny that she's going to be middle of the pack, but it's going to come down to, can she kind of adapt to the social aspects of it and be able to kind of maybe bite her tongue a little bit, and not just paint herself a target socially on top of already being physically a target potentially. So yeah, I expect her to be middle of the pack too, but you never know. She could surprise us.
All right, moving on to our third athlete in a row. We have here current. Actually, I don't know if current is correct, but at least within the last couple of years, she was competing. I think she still technically is, but also the Winter Olympics is happening now, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna be there.
Yeah, so I don't think she's gonna be there. So, but she previously was a Olympian in the figure skating competition. We have Mirai Nagasu, also notably the youngest contestant on this season at age 28, which is not something I'd ever expected to say about a Big Brother cast. But this is the oldest Big Brother cast ever, which is also something to note. But yeah, it is weird that as a 28-year-old, I would never go on a Big Brother season expecting to be the youngest.
No, yeah, I was about to say we got to become celebrities if we want to go on and be young on seasons now. We're withered.
Yeah. All right, Brian, what are your thoughts here on Mirai?
I'm not super high on her. She definitely gave an answer where it's like, oh, have you watched Big Brother? And it's definitely no, but I don't want to say no because I'm going on Big Brother. So she said that I had it in the background while I do chores.
Yep.
So I don't know about that, but she did say her favorite player was Meta World Peace. So that's good. I think also being younger, probably not, to my knowledge, having any children when everyone else probably has, children, and that's going to be tough for her to, react to. It sounds like something when we do Survivor things where it's like, oh, the younger players are going to struggle if it's an older cast. Not something we usually talk about on Survivor, but yeah, I'm not super high on her. What about you guys?
Yeah, but piggybacking off of that, I agree. It's kind of like the inverse of what we usually talk about with Big Brother, where usually there's one player. It's usually everybody's in their 20s or early 30s, and then there's one person in their 40s or 50s, and that person is the age outcast in terms of demographics. And now we have a cast of people who are mostly in their 40s and 50s, and one person in their 20s. So I, just based off of that, am not super high on her ability to just immediately socially fit in, just demographically, because it is very hard if you're the one young person to fit in with a group of people who are 20 years older than you. So That's not great for me. But on the other hand, there were a few times in her interview where she said things that I think were solid, in terms of like her view on the game and her view on like how to strategically play. But just a matter of execution at that point, and I'm like kind of tentative with how I expect her to be able to execute, given this cast in particular. And it seems like she's kind of a little bit more like reserved in terms of her like social abilities or social uh, inclinations, and that's not great on normal Big Brother, and especially not great on Celebrity Big Brother, where everybody's especially a huge personality. So I think there's a chance she gets pulled into an alliance, and there's a chance she'll be able to like kind of flex some strategic ability within that alliance. But there's a number of hurdles that she's going to need to cover.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Not only is she the youngest, she's the youngest by like
Yeah.
for most of the cast a lot.
Yeah, no, the average age of this cast is in the 40s, and she's 28.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
Chad, what are your thoughts here on Mirai?
Yeah, I mean, going off what you guys said, my only worry for her would be, her best case scenario is she gets into a big alliance, but again, my worry would be her just being used by that alliance as like maybe a physical threat, because she's an athlete. I don't know how in shape figure skaters are in terms of like Big Brother comps, but because the other two are kind of more like UFC. You kind of have to be very fit overall. Figure skating is kind of a little different, but either way, I'd worry that she gets picked up by a big alliance. They just use her. Let's say that alliance makes it far. She's going to be the first off the boat. So that's my only worry for her. I also think that's her best case scenario. If she can figure out how to maneuver herself through the alliance, maybe she places high, but I don't think she has what it takes to win. She just doesn't seem like that kind of person to me.
All right, moving on here to our eighth contestant that we are going to be talking about. We have former Miss USA contestant, former Playboy Playmate, and former wife of Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker, who famously now is in a relationship with Kourtney Kardashian, which is the other connection on this cast we have to the Kardashians. And I don't think that is... I don't think that Shanna here we're talking about has a particularly good relationship or opinion of the Kardashians because of that. But yeah, we are here talking about Shanna Mokler. Chad, what are your thoughts here on Shanna?
My first thought is I really hope one of the Kardashians is like the secret 12th house guest. But but no, I mean, this is someone, again, I don't know much about. I mean, she mentioned she loves Paul Brian, I don't know how to say it, but Paul, friendship guy, and Derek, so which is like, all right, cool. Those are, two names that I guess if you watch Big Brother, though, those like, some of the people that you would bring up regardless. So she's at least aware of the game, so maybe she's a fan, at least fan enough. She says she watched a lot of Survivor, so that's also good. So, I mean, physically, I think she's not going to be as strong. She even says it herself. But I think she could be another person that's really good socially. I think she, could be in the background a little bit. And then if she finds herself deep in the game, she could have a lot of win equity if she, maneuvers herself the right ways. So I'm not saying she's a winner or has that, winner gusto that you can see in someone when you first pick them, but I wouldn't be too shocked if she's kind of in that conversation later in the season.
Yeah, so I personally, if she is the player that she's kind of portraying herself to be, someone who's watched every season of Big Brother, like Survivor, is willing to cut her ally to get to the final two, she could be really good. I hope she is like that, honestly, because that'd be exciting to have someone who actually is a super fan in a season like this, where if you're a super fan going into a season like that, it almost feels like it would be very easy to win a season like this. You know, we talk about like someone who is a super fan on a normal season. There are probably a bunch of people who are at least like high level aware of it. Probably not on this season. So she could, if she is the person she's, you know, portraying herself to be, could be really good.
Yeah, no, Shanna's probably the person that I came in with no expectations of, because I didn't really, I knew
know she existed.
Well, I knew like vaguely of her from like the greater Kardashian lore. I came in with no information about her relationship with Big Brother, but reading through her interviews, she is saying a lot of really good stuff. Similar to how I felt last season about Xavier's interviews, where it seemed like he was just answering every question really well. I feel the same way about Shanna, and I was like very happily surprised that was the case, because I did not have that expectation of her coming in, and I think that's going to help her. And she mentioned this as well as in one of her interviews, that people are going to think that she's the dumb blonde because she was a beauty queen, and she was a playmate for Playboy, and like she has like this reputation of just being kind of a pretty face, and so people aren't going to really see it coming that she has a knowledge of the game and she's willing to play hard. So with that in mind, I'm very excited to see what she can pull off here. Anybody who's a big fan of the game, somebody who's going to be name-dropping Survivor in one of these interviews, talking about the advantages of having an ally who is willing to be like an information funnel for you, which is something that she brought up, which is not usually something that you see people talk about in terms of like alliance structure and like how you can take advantage of your allies. Like kind of level one thinking about alliance is like, oh, you're just going to vote together for some kind of common goal. And then like level two thinking is like, oh, I'm going to have an ally who has trust enough in me that they're going to basically be like a second set of eyes and ears who bring information back to me. So now I have like a greater wealth of knowledge. And to have a player on a celebrity season of this game talk about that in an interview is just like, okay, I'm listening, I'm in. So yeah, I have very high hopes for Shanna, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, this like Us Weekly something is what you would expect someone who's going on the regular show,
yes,
to be saying.
Yeah. So,
like I said, if this is really who she is, I mean, I'm sad that I have the second pick to pick winners.
No spoilers. I'm picking first.
Oh man,
no spoilers. Definitely didn't spoil by comparing it to the person I picked to win last season.
No, not at all.
All right, moving on. We have our ninth player here on the cast, Teddy Mellencamp, who is a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, also daughter of famous singer John Mellencamp, and that's pretty much it for my knowledge of what she is known for. And if we're going from one end of the spectrum to the other here, if I had to pick who I think is the first boot of this season, Jesus. I am putting my hard stamp on Teddy Mellencamp here. If we're talking about Shanna said everything right in every question that she answered, Teddy pretty much said everything wrong. She is a museum of red flags. And there is no way that she's even going to be competent in this season, never mind have a shot to win from my perspective. She talks about how, like, first of all, the first thing I read about from her is she's just blatantly lying about watching the show. Like, it's just so obvious she has not seen the show. And the first thing she says, she's like, oh yeah, I've seen almost every episode. And it's like, okay, name a person that you like. Well, sometimes you watch the show and you like a person, and then you go and you get to the end and you don't necessarily like that person anymore, and then you don't really like that person anymore, and she just never actually gets around to answering the question. And then she talks about
one name, please.
She talks only about celebrity Big Brother stuff and the rest of her stuff. So from my perspective, I think she watched most of both seasons of Celebrity Big Brother and thinks that there's no actual regular show, and she thinks that she's watched all the episodes of the regular show. So not good. Then she's asked about like whether she'll throw competitions, and she says, "Oh yeah, I've been told to throw the first competition, and that's strategically correct." When we've pretty much established on this show that that's not the case.
I was going to say, clearly doesn't listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is just like repeated over and over again. Every single question she's asked, she gives pretty much the worst possible answer that you can come up with for. So yeah, hard out. Teddy Mellencamp, not going to win 100%. I am more confident that Teddy will do poorly than that Shanna will do well.
Wow. God damn. Went in on Teddy. No, I actually, that's so funny because I agree. When I was reading the Us Weekly and she's like, I've seen every episode, and then she just talked about Celebrity Big Brother. I was like, I don't think she knows there's a regular Big Brother either. But she does say Tom Green, which I guess, I don't necessarily think he unraveled like she says. I think he just kind of realized he was
He never was raveled to begin with.
Right? Yeah, no, like you said, it's another person who just doesn't really know the game. Right up there with Chris. Her and Chris can talk about how much they don't understand what's happening, and we'll see where they fall.
Yep.
Yeah, her and Chris are gonna be like sitting in the hot seat week one and be like, "Yeah, we're fucked, huh?" And then they'll laugh about
Julie?
it. Julie, but no, I totally agree. I think she's the dumb blonde here. I mean, I'm sure she's a great person. I'm sure she's intelligent outside of Big Brother and everything. But in terms of being a Big Brother player, which is what we're here for, I think she is by far the weakest on this list. So, first boot, it would be no shock to anyone. And honestly, I'd rather it because then we don't have to keep watching her. But I don't know. I can't think of any way she possibly goes far other than being carried hard and maybe pulled by the winner pick to just sit there as a goat. But I don't think she even makes it that far now. She's easily a free jury.
Does she have Lindsay Lohan mom upside, where also had no idea what was going on, but got pretty far?
Yeah, maybe.
Will she be catfished by somebody and reveal that on the show? That's the real question.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. We'll see. I can't see her getting through even 2 eliminations.
Brutal.
Well, there goes my winner pick.
All right. Next we have our oldest contestant, but not really by much because there are like several people who are around his age on the cast. Actor, probably best known for his role as Willis in Different Strokes. Todd Bridges. Brian, what are your thoughts here on Todd Bridges?
I think it will be very annoying how many times we hear what you're talking about Willis in the show from other contestants, from other podcasts. I'm going to say past this, I will not say it to save everybody. He doesn't seem to be a fan of the show. He said the one season he watched was Celebrity Big Brother 2 where Tamar played just right, which she won, so I guess she did, but I don't necessarily think her game is something you can replicate because there's just kind of going with the flow of the season. So I don't necessarily think he's going to do great. Maybe he's just a chill, cool guy, though, and he gets into an alliance and does well. That's his best shot. Just get an alliance and then win some comps near the end.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think there's... He doesn't say everything wrong. He just doesn't say enough to like give us anything. So, and that alone is kind of wrong. So, I don't know. I think expectations are very, very low. I don't think he's going to make jury. But you never know. He could be a cool guy and just
luckily, I think everyone makes the jury on Celebrity Big Brother.
Oh, really? Celebrity Big Brother, everybody is on the jury, yes.
So he's got that.
Yeah.
Okay. But, yeah, I don't see this guy going far. I like him, but That's
Yeah,
about
he
it.
seems like a cool dude. Yeah, this Todd Bridges is the third out of three people that I had referenced as people who are just completely in over their heads and don't know what they're getting into.
All his
After Chris and
responses are
Teddy.
also one
They're one
sentence.
word. He
Yeah.
gives one word answers to everything. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you looking for in an alliance? Trust.
Yeah.
Do you want to be able to be a social butterfly or a strategic mastermind? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Why
well,
are
you're
you
giving
on
me,
Celebrity Big Brother, my agent?
yeah. It's like, well, you're giving me nothing. I have nothing to grab onto. I don't think he knows what he's doing. I don't think he knows what he's getting into. I have no faith that he'll be competent in the game. Yeah. I think that he maybe has a better shot just because of potential likability factor. Like he might come off as less threatening than the other players who are coming in with no information or understanding, and so he might get like dragged deep into the game for that alone. Like I think he probably has the most upside of getting dragged deep into the game and just getting unceremoniously voted out at like fifth. But yeah, no, he's the third person I referenced to. I have 0% win equity coming in for.
Yeah, he's like the third to last if you go him, Chris, and then Kelly. Is it Kelly, right? Teddy, whatever.
Yeah. That is also my order. Also my order. I have Todd third to worst, Chris Katan second to worst, Teddy worst also. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe he'll surprise us because he gave us nothing. They're like he might as well have not done the interviews, and I'd have the same information. So maybe there's something there that we just weren't able to see because he didn't tell us anything. But yeah, right now my expectations are underground. All right, moving on to our final contestant on Celebrity Big Brother US Season 3, the one person who was correctly predicted by a lot of people to be on this season because of how vocal he was in the time after Big Brother 23 and his interactions with that cast. We have Todrick Hall, who is a singer, dancer, performer, YouTuber, entertainer in general. Also potentially relatively important. Apparently he has helped with the choreography on RuPaul's Drag Race. So potentially has some kind of personal connection to Carson, who is a judge on that show. Might be relevant, particularly because I think they're two of the potential like stronger players headed in. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Yeah, I know a lot of people have enjoyed memeing on Todrick because he is, we talked about Todd Bridges giving 0 to 1 word answers to every question. Todrick, basically all of the interviews I read, Todrick had maybe like 40% of the page just to himself with how much words he said, to the point where I actually had to skim through all of his answers in every single one of his interview because they were just run-on sentences.
They also he's all over the place in terms of who he likes, who he wants to play as. It's such an eclectic collection of BB players that it's who are you gonna play like? None of these players are like each other.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that his ceiling, and he referenced that he's friends with Tommy. I think his ceiling is Tommy Racco. And he seemingly probably got some advice from Tommy or potentially all of the other Big Brother players that he's friends with or he let crash at his house. And so as far as knowledge of the game, I think he's probably one of the 2 or 3 most knowledgeable of the game, hands down. I think we can pretty clearly say that. And as far as drive to want to win, I definitely think he's also up there. It seems like he very much does want to win and is very excited about this opportunity. So those are both positive things for me. But similarly to how I was worried about Tommy ahead of that season, when Brian and I did our preview for that, in terms of Tommy potentially being a bit too much in terms of their personality, I worry about that for Todrick. But it wasn't really a hindrance to Tommy on his season, and I think on a celebrity season it probably won't be that as big of an issue either. But we'll see.
I think his like potential biggest pitfall is going to be like the person kind of like a Max Dawson, where it's like, oh my god, let me tell you about this thing from this season of this. Let me tell you about this player. To where everyone's just like, yo, this guy knows Big Brother really well. I think you might need to get rid of him.
Yep.
That's
Elizabeth.
my biggest fear for him. Yeah, Shannon Elizabeth too. Exactly. Like I can see him potentially being like that because he's very much a fan. I mean, like he's talking about Jordan and Rachel, Frankie, Tommy, Tiffany, Chada, Derek, both Dereks again. Like he's all over the place. He's gonna be someone who comes in and is just like, I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be in the Big Brother house. And I don't know if he can keep it to himself. Yeah. That said, if he can, I think there's a lot of upside. I mean, you don't hang out with Tiffany and Chada and not pick up some things, right? Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, he says he's like friends with Frankie, Tommy, Tiffany, and Chada. So it's like he had to have gotten tips from them. So, I mean, and all of those are, I mean, decent enough players where it's like, yeah, I would probably listen to them too. But, yeah, I think, as you guys said, his biggest problem is going to be keeping his mouth shut and kind of trying to go into the background a little, or at least, you know, biting his own tongue. But I have high hopes for him if he can do that. But if he just kind of goes blabbermouth and tells everyone everything about Big Brother, then it's going to be rough.
And it's going to be annoying, too. Like, that's the big thing that, like, gets these people when they go on to, like, things. It's like, yeah, we're on Survivor, we're on Big Brother. We don't need to hear about everything that ever happened on these shows. Like, either we already know or we do not care.
I mean, the one thing that hasn't been pointed out that I think is interesting enough is that he does even say, like, you know, in a normal Big Brother season, it's like 70 to 90 days. Here it's like 3 weeks, so you don't have time to get to know people. So I'm hoping that translates to his game in terms of him just being like, you know, more a strategist for the game itself rather than just trying to talk everyone's ear off, get to know every single person, because he knows he's not going to have time to do that, and just stick to the people that he likes, maybe his alliance, and hopefully that carries him far enough. But, you know, I have high hopes for this guy.
Yeah, I think he's maybe underestimating the downtime that they have. Like, I think 3 weeks logged in the house, you'll get to know people decently.
Oh, for sure.
But it is a fast game. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm my biggest worry for him is definitely the Shannon Elizabeth situation where he can just come in, play too hard, too fast. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's a gamer. We got to get him out. And somebody who also knows the game well, like a Carson or a Shanna, who is a little bit, you know, smarter and quieter about it, ends up, you know, being able to take advantage of that and actually go far. That's my biggest worry. But maybe he'll not do that and surprise me. Yeah, that's it. That's our cast. That's our Celebrity Big Brother Season 3 cast.
I'm higher on the cast now that we've gone through them. I think there's like a lot of interesting players and people who can potentially play the game in an interesting way to make it entertaining for us.
Yeah, 100%.
I know people were so mad. People were so upset at this cast. I don't get that.
I think we're just kind of like disappointed because it's Celebrity Big Brother. I mean, they don't draw in like A-list or even B-list, but I mean, like, you know, there's sometimes they get a name. It's like, oh, I know this guy, or like, oh, this guy was big in like the 90s or whatever. But right. I mean, here everyone's kind of like, I think I know you.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just don't care, right? Like, is it nice to see people like who are big names on these shows? Yeah, it's cool, but like, is that like the make or break for whether or not the season is going to be good? No, it's not really. Like, I would rather people who I don't know, who are entertaining characters and who are entertaining players, than people I do know who do nothing the entire season and are boring. So
yeah, and sometimes you get people like Ricky Williams is a childhood hero, and he was kind of a dick on his season. It's like, oh, I didn't want to know that or see that. You know?
Like Ariadna Gutierrez in CBB US 1. Like, I had zero expectations for her coming in, and she was one of my favorites coming out of the season, and she was a phenomenal player. So like, I don't know. I think that I'm gonna be, you know, cautiously optimistic that this cast is going to be able to bring it. So we'll see. It's 3 weeks. Like, it's just fun, right? We're not going to have to stay with the cast for 3 months like we would in a normal season. If the cast sucks, then it's over in 3 weeks, and we move on to BB Can 10.
Yes.
Exactly. We only
Yeah.
really have like 2.5 duds because we don't know enough about Todd. But
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I think there's 2.5 duds. I agree. So yeah, with that in mind, now we have to make our winner picks. So based off of our great performance picking people for Big Brother 23, we had the first, second, and fourth place players picked as our winner picks.
So insane.
So yeah, I will pick first because I picked Xavier to win, and I was correct. Brian will pick second. He picked Big D, and Big D was the runner-up. And Chad will pick third because he picked Kyland. Kyland was in fourth place, and that will be our order for selecting winner picks now. Yeah, I think you guys know that I'm going to pick Shanna. And I think I tried to not give it away, but like for me, I have kind of tiers for how the cast is in my mind as like my expectations. I have like bottom 3 to 4, kind of middle 3-ish, and then like top 4, 5, 6-ish. But for me, like Shanna is number one with a bullet. I cannot see her doing poorly, and I think she probably comes into this season with like somewhere in the 20 to 30% win equity, just like off the bat, hour one, just from her knowledge of the game, the way that she has seemingly approached this. So yeah, I'm gonna be very happily picking Shanna number one here. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have taken her as well had you not taken her. So I'm torn a little bit between Carson and then I want to pick Todrick for fun, and since he presumably has talked to real players who are really good at Big Brother, I think I'm going to risk it and go with Todrick, and, maybe he flames out like we said, but maybe he can do something here, and that'd be very fun, I think.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Chad. We have 2 off the table here. I think you still have. I still think you have maybe 2 or 3 potential good picks here to go off.
Yeah,
of, so.
it's interesting. I'm glad you got the read on Shanna a lot more right than I did. I just didn't read enough about her, but I'm coin flipping between Teddy and Chris Catan here, but no, I'm just kidding. I kind of want to stick with. I'm going to stick with Chris Kirkpatrick, kind of as a dark horse guy. Because Cody was an easy pick for winner for me, and
Right.
and then Kylan was like, all right, I honestly thought Kylan would probably win, but I mean, historically, we've been really good with picks, so I'm going to take a little bit of a chance here on Chris, and hopefully I'm right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think if I was in your position, I would probably have gone between Carson or Chris Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, that was it too, Carson or Chris, and then So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think we got 3 good winner picks here. The only person on the board that I think has like a decent shot that we didn't pick is probably Carson. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Anything else that we want to talk about before we jump off here?
They redesigned the house a little. No more spiral staircase. A little sad.
Yeah,
I don't care. I think it's good. The spiral staircase was horrible. It was like it was iconic, right? But like it was iconic in that like every season like 4 different people would hurt themselves on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the new staircase looks good.
Oh, it looks great. Yeah, it's much better than the spiral staircase. Is just like I just hate change on my reality TV. Other than that, the house looks great just in general. They really go all out for the celebrities, which I appreciate. And
the
it
sauna
has like a winter. Yeah, the sauna. It has a winter like cabin theme, like snow theme.
I know,
which I think is super fun. Even though they're in LA, which is not like that at all. But I think it'll be a good time, and I'm really excited for the season. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first 2, and I expect I'll enjoy this one. And like Ben said, if I don't, it's 3 weeks long, so it's fine.
Yeah, same. I think the house looks awesome. Have they revealed any like twists at all, or said they're going to do any stupid twists?
I haven't seen anything. Yeah.
Me neither. That's why I asked. But as long as they keep it like just kind of like bare bones game, I think the celebrities enough and their personalities will carry it. So I'm excited.
absolutely.
No, I think the best twist that you can do with this season is just that it's fast paced, right?
Yep.
You're eliminating 2 to 3 people a week, right? Like it's like that's enough of a difference in how the game operates.
Oh, for
You don't need
sure.
all these craziness. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad to be talking about Big Brother again. We're getting back into the season. We're going to do this, and then like a month or two after, we're going to be doing Big Brother Canada, and then a month or two after that, we're going to get right into BB24. So. We're hitting the ground running again here.
And in between that, we have the Blindsiders that will be covering the new season of Survivor that Ben and I do with our friend Dylan. So lots of reality like TV podcasting coming your way if that's what you're into. And for some reason you don't want to listen to Rob Has a Podcast anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, or if you want to have a supplement to that, and you somehow consume every otother podcast, and you're like, oh, this one also looks nice. Let's see what somebody else has to say about Big Brother for a change. I think we have relatively good opinions that have shown out to be pretty correct. We look at our winner picks from our preseasons for the seasons we've covered, pretty much on the nose all the way through. So.
We're in the killing in obscurity phase, and now we just got to get the next phase of like killing, but with a following.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can find Chad. You want to shout out your social media, Chad?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at ChadleyJP, and you can find me on Twitter at ChadPerry25 right here.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at TheFakeBMar. That's BMARR. Like Chad said, it'll be below me. And then if you want to hear me talk even more, which I don't know how you could after all these podcasts we'll be doing, you can find me almost every single day on Wicked Good Sports, youtube.com/Wicked Good Sports. Chad's also there covering the Patriots, and we'll probably talk about Tom Brady if he's really retired. At the moment we're recording, he said he was, and then there seems to be some drama, and maybe he's not. So.
Okay, to be fair, I think that somebody said he was to enough people.
Yeah, right. That's what it seems like.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Oh man.
I don't know, man.
The biggest won't they in sports.
I was shocked, and then I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
All we know is that he's not in the BB house.
That's true. He's not on the cast. Yeah, we won't be talking about him playing Big Brother, regardless. As opposed to his previous Patriots and Tampa Bay teammate Rob Gronkowski, who was involved with Big Brother in the past.
That is true.
But yeah, you can follow me.
Takeover.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You can follow me on social media at Ben Sharon. I'll probably be tweeting, live tweeting some feed stuff and some episode stuff. It's pretty much the only thing I do on Twitter these days. I've been pretty absent on Twitter other than posting my Wordles every day. And then occasionally making some snide remarks about things here and there. But I've been trying to stay off Twitter for the most part. But I'll be back.
That's healthy. That's good.
I'll be back just for the live feeds to read them and to give my opinions on them if you want to follow me there. And we will be back 1 week from Tuesday. So the current schedule we have is 3 weeks. And the schedule's kind of all over the place. It's almost every day there's an episode. So the one day that there is never going to be an episode is Tuesdays. And that's normally been our recording day anyways. So that works out really well. So what we're going to be doing is recording on Tuesday, February 9th, I think, or something like that. Whatever the first Tuesday, a week from this current Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday, and then the following Tuesday, and then we'll do a final podcast after the finale. So 4 more podcasts for the season, once every week, and then an additional extra one covering the finale. And that's going to be the schedule. So we're going to be covering 4 or 5 episodes when we come back, as well as talking about an entire week of live feeds and probably 2 rounds of the game, if not 3. So that's going to be a long podcast. There's going to be a lot to cover. We'll be here talking about everything. And until then, we'll see you later.